chronic pain, the inner demon, back with another one. No, folks, we know in America, systematically, we have so many people incarcerated serving all type of times for all types of crime. My son included one of those because I don't exempt no one from it. My son is included, serving time for his bullshit crime. Hey, it is what it is. So anyway, folks, we have this man, Darryl Barwick. Darryl Barwick, was executed the other day. But we're going to get to that. Darryl Barwick never apologized, not until his day of execution. And he said, I can't explain why I did it. And he apologized. Darryl Barwick, before he was lethally injected on Wednesday night, when the screen was risen in the execution chamber, Barwick was already strapped onto a table covered with sheets except for his face and left arm, where the intravenous line was already placed. He said, it's time to apologize to the victims and families, and to my family. That's what Darryl Barwick says. I can't explain why I did it, Barwick says, spun on the gurney and looked up as he spoke. Folks, this is a man gasping and speaking his last, gasping his last air and breath and speaking his last for his crime that he has committed. So young folks, it's real out there. Stop committing these dubious crimes. And that's why I am bringing this one to you today, especially on a Saturday. A man that was executed in Florida. I'm just letting you know, he cried like a baby and said, you know what? I regret what I did. And it took him years to say that because you know what? He was trying to hold out as a man, even though he was going through it. But not up until his day of execution, he apologized to the victims and also his family. Yeah, Darryl Barwick. It's time to apologize to the victims and to the families and my family. I can't explain why I did it, Barwick said, while he was spun on the gurney and looking upward, he spoke. And another thing I would like to say to the state of Florida, I need to show some kind of compassion and kindness for each other. With so many kids in prison, there are 14 and 15-year-olds serving life sentences. I do agree. There are 14 and 15-year-olds serving life sentences. But for what? Crime of murder, where they either, kill their parents or kill someone else. So what are we supposed to do with them, Darryl? Put them in a parochial school after they commit these crimes? Send them to Yale? Darryl? They have to serve the consequences of their crime. I kind of understand what you're saying, but you have to look at the issue here. These kids commit serious crimes, just like you, Darryl. Just like you. It doesn't matter if they're 15, 14, 16, 17. They commit heinous crimes. And I'm sorry, but hey, you have to do the time. So that's what he said. He said, there are no family and friends. Actually, that's not what he said. This is what the media says. There are no family and friends of Bushwick or the victim of 24-year-old Rebecca Went. So that's the victim. Rebecca Went. To witness his execution. And at the execution, there were 17 official witnesses besides 4 members of the press and staff with the department in the Florida Correction Facility. So Darryl dies alone. He took a life and he dies alone. And now you want to talk about the system and where it's broken. But before you commit murder, you didn't see that part of the system, did you? But now you sat there on death row for years, and now comes the time for you to be executed. You want to talk about the young lads sitting on death row. I get what you're saying, but you're not in a position, Darryl, to criticize the system when you commit murder. You're not in a position. So yes, so the execution team began administering the lethal cocktail of 3 drugs, which include a sedative, paralytic, and a drug to stop his heart at 6:02 p.m. So they gave Darryl 3 different types of cocktail, and one is to stop his heart, put him to sleep forever. So witness was only able to see Darryl's face. His body was covered with a sheet, and his arm was left out, which they put the intravenous in, the IV. So Darryl committed heinous crimes, and Darryl dies alone, execution by the government. So let me ask you young folks this. Do you want to die like Darryl? Barwick. Darryl was 19 years old when he committed his crime in 1986. And Darryl sat on death row for a very long time. Rebecca was only 24 years old when she lost her life. This was in Panama City, Florida. So you see, folks, this crime was committed when? Let's go back. In Panama City, 1986. Darryl grew up in the system, in the prison system. The system groomed him, raised him, and then turned around and executed him. You hear what I said? The system groomed and raised Darryl the killer, Darryl Barwick. They raised and groomed him, and then they executed him. But folks, if you count from 1986 until 2003, just think about how much money investors made off Darryl. Millions of dollars. If you don't know it, let me say it. Millions of dollars. The investors who invest in the prison system made off people like Darryl. Yes, folks, chronic pain, the inner demon, back with another one. I want you to like, share, subscribe to the machine, and don't forget my Cash App, folks. and tell a friend to tell a friend. Chronic pain is here to stay. Peace.